right, good morning, everyone, and I'll call to order this December 4th, 2025 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners Business Meeting. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, Chair Roberts, thank you. First, our staff support today, County Counsel Billy Williams, Clerk to the Board Andrew Jiraki. Commissioners West and Schrader are out of the office today. Roll call, Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Chair Roberts.
Here. All right, thank you. And I'd ask you all to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. One of the first things up we have this morning is public communication. And before I start on giving the public the opportunity to come today before us, I do want to apologize. We, at our Tuesday meeting, we ended up having it delayed substantially. And we didn't post anything online about that. And I know we had some people waiting, so I want to apologize for that. We value people going online and or showing up to hear what's being said. So that was our mistake. I've talked with County Administrator Gary Schmidt, and we're going to have some things posted. I'll let Gary, why don't you talk about it, what we'll do.
And I apologize to you, commissioners, and the members of the public. Our schedule, we got way off schedule inadvertently yesterday, and actually our staff was waiting for us to come to issues, and they didn't know it was delayed either, although I was doing some text. So in the future, yes, we will make it clear online if there's a delay in the schedule, especially those watching online, so they're not just waiting and waiting, which happened yesterday at 10 a.m. for issues. People online were not aware that you were not meeting, and they just kept waiting and waiting. We didn't have a card to say so. But to be fair, our staff didn't know that because the timing was also a surprise, I think, to staff. Anyway, we will correct it in the future. Apologies to all.
All right, thank you. And again, our apologies. So first thing up is public communication. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person, and I ask the comments to be respectful and courteous. As a reminder, you can also email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and they'll be accepted for the public records. I'll start with the in-person testimony first. And we have a wonderful clerk, Andrew, who's going to help me moderate the in-person and virtual testimonies. So I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you are attending this meeting in person and wish to comment during any matter that does not have its own specific public hearing on today's agenda, this is a reminder to please fill out a blue card that can be found on the table right next to me, deposit in the box, and I will call on you in the order that they are received. When you come forward, this is a reminder you have 3 minutes, and to please start your remarks by introducing yourself. First up, I have Karen Fenton. Karen Fenton, please come forward.
Good morning. I am Karen Fenton from Canby, Oregon. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for being in public service. And I came to ask that maybe a statement or something more definitive could happen around ICE, and that knowing that our neighbors are in danger, they feel hunted, and that it's just wrong for children to be in school not knowing if their parents will be there when they get home, for families to be broken up, and for these ICE agents to not be able to show their faces. A lot of they say that 97% of people being picked up have no criminal record. And so I would like our county to reinforce the idea that we are against this behavior. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Jen Mess. Jen Mess, please come forward.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jen Mess, and I live here in Oregon City, and I've been here for about 3 years after moving out from Portland in 2022. I'm here on behalf of at least a dozen individuals today who are not able to make it due to their work schedules. So please imagine a fleet of people behind me this morning. But I'm also a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church at Willamette Falls, and also a part of some grassroots mutual aid groups here in Oregon City and West Lynn and the general area. I want to thank you all for your service to this county. I know you all care deeply about public safety and the rule of law and the values that hold communities together. And I'm here because those very principles are being put at risk right now for many in our community. Across Oregon and here in Clackamas County, people are being taken into custody by federal immigration and border patrol agents in ways that deeply alarm many of us. Armed and unidentified officers are detaining individuals without clear warrants, without identification, and without notice. I happen to personally disagree with those recent actions and find them deeply distressing for more than just those reasons, but we might disagree about that, and that's okay. Many in this room may actually feel that corrective action in immigration is long overdue. But whatever someone believes about immigration policy, I think we should be able to agree on this. In this country, the government doesn't get to seize people without due process. That principle is not partisan, it is foundational, it's constitutional. And some in this room have worn a uniform or served in law enforcement specifically to defend that very idea. It's also important to be clear about the law itself, because being in the country without legal status is only a civil violation, not a serious criminal offense. And yet, the enforcement tactics we're seeing look like felony arrests. That mismatch should concern anyone who cares about proportionality and restraint and integrity of the legal system. When arrests are conducted without warrants and without identification and with disproportionate physical force, it doesn't just harm the individual taken, it sends a shockwave through the community. Parents stop calling police, victims stop reporting crimes, witnesses go silent, and that makes all of us less safe. I want to be clear, I'm not asking the board to change federal immigration policy, that's impossible, but I am asking you to defend the rule of law here at home and make it clear that Clackamas County believes that constitutional protections still mean something, that law enforcement should be identifiable, warrants matter, force should be proportional, and families are not collateral damage for civil infractions. You didn't create this situation, but respectfully, you do get to decide how Clackamas County responds to it. I believe we have some strong common ground in this room around fairness, due process, and lawful governance, and I'm asking you to act from that shared ground. Thank you so much for your time and attention this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Patricia Torsen. Patricia Torsen, please come forward.
I'm short. I'm representing Malala area seniors and any others that are in Clackamas County. We are increasing in numbers, but our funding is not sufficient to take care of us now. Our congregate meals and things, we need more funding for that. And the Meals on Wheels, we have more seniors living today, and we need to provide for them. We have a lot of money going out for the homeless, but we're going to have more homeless seniors if we don't take care of our seniors now. We had, after the COVID, we had extra money because of the COVID was still coming. But the seniors, more seniors found out about the centers and the help that they provide for other seniors. And so we want to keep that going. We have been trying to promote the senior centers and to do what we can for the seniors so they don't have to go to nursing homes and assisted living. They can have communal dining with other friends and people that they know of their age and take care of themselves, but the meals really helps. And we need more help with that. After 2020, the Malala seniors, the board members served once a week at the center, and we started out with, on Thursday was our day. We maybe had one table of diners on Thursday. They said, this is a slow time, it's okay. Now we have a full house. Thursday's a full house of diners coming in. Yesterday we had a special function, and it was a full house. There, we have try to have donations of supplies and stuff given so that they can do extra for the seniors, but we can only do so much. The food banks help us where they can. We try to bring in any extra food that we have at home that we aren't using so that we can share with others. But the county needs to step up and help provide more food for the congregate dining and the Meals on Wheels. I delivered Meals on Wheels here a while back. I don't want to do it again. I love the people, but I don't like to see the people in the conditions that I see them in. They want to be able to get out of their house, but so many of them are housebound, and they really appreciate those meals. They thrive on those meals, but they can't do much else. So please help anything you can to increase the funding for that. I know everybody will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. This is a final call. If you are attending this meeting in person and have not yet done so and would like to comment during general public communication, not for an item that has its own specific public hearing today, to please come up, fill out a blue card, and deposit it in the box right here next to me. The final blue card I have today, Mr. Les Poole, please come forward.
Good morning, commissioners and staff, and everyone that's here today. The lady that just spoke made a pretty clear statement about where we're at, and I've got a few comments today that in their own way are related to that. It's really about money. It's about priorities. And I think Clackamas County is doing a much better job than what we're seeing next door in Multnomah and Portland. I think some of the spending and some of the, I'll use the term antics that have gone on in Salem are deeply troubling. There's an incredible message from our effort to get the tax increase, the big tax increase on the ballot. The response has been tremendous. People are going out of their way to sign a petition that in droves and in ways I've never seen. And that message is about money and prioritization. That's really what it's about. And you've got some budget challenges coming, as we all know, and more folks are asking, and the dollars aren't going as far. Dovetailed with that is a subject that I wanted to just run by you. And you've heard me speak. I've got some concerns about the neighborhood and the impacts and the outcome of the Clackamas Recovery Center. As you know, they're going to tear down the old Clackamas grade school, and the commissioners, I believe, acting as the directors of the department, have authorized moving forward for phase one, which was originally estimated at $20 million, and now it's $24 million. I want to be clear, I'm not here to stop or to protest or to throw rocks at what the county is attempting to do. My concern is that this has a familiar ring to it. By the time we get to the construction phase, costs are going to go up even more. And the real issue in the neighborhood is that we've already got a problem there. If you go knock on doors or go talk to some of those businesses, you'll find that when you get to the front door, many of them are locked during business hours. And I know the county has dealt with homeless issues and drug issues there, and that this facility is intended to address that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But the bottom line is I'm concerned about the financing, and I'm concerned about the ability of the county to address the impacts once this opens. And the last thing I want to say briefly is, as you're searching for money, I wish you well, but I would be very cautious about getting involved in corrections, making this a correctional facility. At one point, I heard there was a possibility of doing criminal correction there. The adamant message from the neighborhood and from me is that this facility needs to be for 18-year-old adults, the purpose for which it was authorized. So I know we're in an awkward situation, but I really caution you about how we proceed because you can't fail here. This is one of those things where you can't fail. So I appreciate the time as always, and keeping folks up to date on that issue would really help because people are wondering.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public physically present wish to comment during general public communications. With your assent, we'll move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to comment during general public communication, i.e. not for an item that has a specific public hearing on today's agenda, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. Mr. Brainerd Brower, I'll allow you to speak. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, good morning. This is Brainerd Brower from the community of Redland. I haven't done this virtually before, and I haven't seen anybody else do it. It is encouraging that more people are speaking and hearing some pretty heart-wrenching and well-spoken testimony today. I would only encourage more folks to come forward and also come with ideas. That's the hard thing. It's hard to come here and speak. I've known that, and it's hard to prepare. I came today mainly just to say, so in my local community of Redland, I set up a Christmas tree. So we celebrate, you know, but really for the spirit of it. I mean, certainly for maybe my beliefs or much of the community's beliefs, but we should respect all beliefs, but it's for the spirit of goodwill. And unlike other years, I think the goodwill's, the spirit is building, but it was not as enthusiastic starting out or as upbeat by the community's citizens, just by the reaction that I've seen before. And it's concerning. So if anything you can do to encourage people to look for the positives, find ways to contribute locally and come with ideas. Encourage outreach and getting more people to come, and as hard as it is to provide this testimony, contribute, just like today, well-spoken testimony. And my last comment, and I thank you for listening and being willing to, and I just encourage citizens to do that. My last comment is, and I don't know if it's apparently on the agenda today about noise ordinance, and it's confusing to me exactly what the intent is. Okay, there's some housekeeping. I read through it more carefully. It looks to, so I mean, there is still a noise ordinance that's ridiculous about daytime noise that should be corrected. But if you look at the summary, the department actually says, staff respectfully recommends that the board hold this public hearing, read the attached ordinance by title only, and adopt the attached ordinance. Well, why by title only? I mean, sure, there's a lot of verbiage, and I don't understand it, but the best I can figure out, this is mostly about redirecting control over noise complaints from the sheriff's office to a code enforcement group. And that's, I think, I don't have a lot, I mean, I want to see things done legally and respectfully to the community. What I don't like, and I'm bringing this up again as a core principle, and I think it's hard to dispute, is the idea of anonymous complaints. If somebody has an issue, then get together with neighbors and represent yourself. But this anonymous thing needs to go away. And this particular proposal, if it should be stated what it's really doing. And I don't really understand it, so I might be speaking out of turn. Thank you for listening, and I hope the community spirit grows and we continue to work locally.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brower. This is a final call. If you are attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment during general public communication, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, wish to comment during general public communication today.
Thank you. I will now close the public portion of the public communication. I'll turn to my colleagues. We have time at the end for comments. Would you like to hold any comment until the end? I want to give each commissioner a chance.
Well, Chair, just one thing. Was it Patricia? Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We're keenly aware of the challenge that our senior citizens are falling into. I've been informed that the fastest growing population falling into homelessness are senior citizens. So it's a big concern of mine. It's been for a long time. It just seems to be that we're not making any progress on it. We rely on a lot of federal funding, for that and many other things. As some of those resources seem to be dwindling and the pressures of cost, it just makes our ability to meet some of those demands. So we're walking a tightrope to some degree to try to make sure we keep our relationships with the federal and state government, as sound as possible, so we can continue to get those resources and hopefully more resources to meet the needs. So thank you for bringing that attention to that. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Comments. I do want to echo this, follow my fellow colleague over here, Commissioner, just say, first of all, thank you for coming. And we look at the data real detailed about our homeless population, those that are on the edge of becoming homeless, and it is very clear that senior homelessness is increasing. And I know my colleague over here is really involved in Father's Heart. I just did a visit yesterday, and again, there were a lot of seniors there. And so it's very clear, and so it is a top priority. Obviously, funding's tough all the way around, but it is something that all of us are very concerned about, and trying to do everything we can to help support it. So thank you for taking the time to come in.
May I real fast?
Yeah.
Before you go away, Patricia, I would like to make one last comment too. We are keenly aware. There's just so much in our control. I will say I would love to see our legislators at the state level have the political will to freeze property taxes for those at a certain income level over 65 years old. I think that would help a lot. I know there's been talk about it in the past, and I would hope that there's some strong-willed people that could go forward and get ahead of the situation before we see it, which we will down the road if it's not taken care of now.
We are writing letters to senators
Good.
on this matter.
Good.
We're doing everything we can. I came here as another staff.
Fabulous.
I just turned 80.
Can you come to the table, because no one can hear you online, please?
Would you come up here and?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just turned 80, and this is a priority with me. We've lost 5 seniors this last month, 2 months. And I see so much of the low-income seniors that are struggling. And so we're sending out letters to senators, congressmen, anybody that'll listen. And I wanted to come here and express what's going on and share with you our county issue, because we're all part of the county. But we're all trying to do what we can to help one another. And so we're going to the government for more help. So we appreciate anything and everything that you can do for us. And we'll work with you any way we can.
So a question I had for you, do you see it as, from your role, as a priority of needing funding for food, or is it rent assistance, or what do you see as some of the
Actually,
top 3
Right
things?
now, the housing for seniors is really bad. In Malala, we had a senior housing and we had a senior mobile home court. We still have the senior mobile home court, but all the senior apartment that was a senior apartment is going to low-income people. and very few seniors. As they die, they don't put in another senior, they put in somebody else with low income. So we're losing our senior housing, our Section 8 housing. We have people living in fifth wheel trailers out in the country by themselves, having Meals on Wheels delivered to them. They can hardly get out of bed and stuff. We need housing for them, Section 8 apartments, something. The congregate dining, we're trying to provide dining for all of them, and we've got the buses bringing them in from the Malala area, the other senior centers too, I'm sure. But the Malala area, we take in Markham, Malino, Colton, Beaver Creek, outside Malala Canby area, trying to provide food for these people dining in because they don't feed themselves otherwise.
Well, I just have to say thank you, and for all that you do. At the age of 80, you're amazing. I just
you.
hoping I can do that much at my age. So congratulations on your hard work. The community really appreciates it.
Thank you so
very
much, and
Thank
thank
you.
you, all of you, for what you do.
Thank you. And Commissioner Salvis, comment?
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to just emphasize, I think just in that short, brief conversation, I think I just, from my knowledge, at least touched on 3 or 4 different funding streams that come from the federal government. And I just want to just capitalize on the opportunity for, regardless of what you came here today to speak to, we rely heavily on federal funding and state funding to do everything we do. So we have to walk a tightrope again with all of our government partners, and we don't want to jeopardize funding for the most vulnerable people, regardless of their age, regardless of their status. We just don't want to jeopardize the funding that we receive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to respond. We also had Karen Swenson, I believe, and also Jen Mess from the Oregon City area, and wanted to thank you for your comments. I thought it might be a good opportunity for kind of giving our council a chance to kind of talk about some litigation and things that have been going on in our county regarding this issue. I also want to say thank you to your 12 friends that are behind you. And you were very articulate in your comments today. I want to say thank you for that. And so I might turn to council, just touching on that briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Mess, for being here. And I really appreciated your approach to the subject at issue. It's complicated, and you were very diplomatic in how you presented it, so thank you. Just as an update, you may recall that there were a few counties that a couple months ago, I think may have been 3 months ago now, were served with subpoenas for information by ICE, and then that matter was pending before Judge Michael McShane, who's the chief judge here in the District of Oregon, not just criminal. But in any event, on the 24th of November, he entered an opinion and order, requiring our sheriff, Brandenburg, along with officials from 3 other Oregon counties who were also served with subpoenas for information, requiring them to provide information responsive to those immigration enforcement subpoenas. So that was done in response to Clackamas County and Washington County, and I believe it was Lane County who had been served, Marion County, who took the position they were in effect caught in the middle between federal law and state law. And so I thought Judge McShane gave a very thoughtful opinion and working through the legal issues and finally ordering the counties to provide that information consistent with judicial subpoenas. So it may come up again if we get served with additional subpoenas, because that order only applied to the subpoenas that had been served. But they specifically Clackamas County had sought information on 2 individuals who had been convicted of felony crimes. And so the law was followed by the counties who were served, and the sheriff, in response to the judge's order, did provide that information on those 2 individuals who, again, had felony criminal convictions. And I just want to finish with an acknowledgement of, and Commissioner Savas touched on this in terms of his comment regarding the federal funding, but the county provides many essential services to vulnerable communities. There's no question about that, as do many other counties in Oregon. But we rely upon federal funding for those, and that's a whole nother area of response and litigation and being careful. And one of the things that I think most counties would agree with this, if not all, that we've got to be mindful in how we respond to requested information on federal grants, that we don't jeopardize a lot of money that helps vulnerable communities, including members of the communities that you spoke to. So it's a careful balance. We're looking at things very closely, and again, working with other counties in terms of helping each other work through the details of this. It's complicated, it's legal. There's a lot of emotion behind a lot of this, and responsible feelings behind it, and requests for responsible actions, and most importantly, we have to follow the law. And so that's where we're at this time. It's complicated, but I do, again, to end here, is to appreciate the diplomacy that you articulated, as well as from Ms. Fenton as well. Happy to have conversations going forward, happy to try and answer questions that impact the communities that you're representing. I offer that if the door's open, if you want to have follow-up conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Council. And just to kind of follow up on that, you made a couple comments which I wholeheartedly believe in. And that is, as a former sheriff, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution, uphold the laws, and I think it's also, you really nailed it. I don't know what your background is, but following due process and really having respect for all citizens. And I think that the other term you use, which I wrote down here, is kind of this shockwave throughout the community. And that I know there is a lot of fear in the community right now. And so just wanted to say I have heard that. I want to validate that is a concern in our community. And so with that, as always, I appreciate people like you taking the time to come in and testify. So nice job. So thank you. So with that being said, I'm going to turn to my wonderful county administrator. Gary, what's next?
Thank you, Chair. Next are 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is second reading of Ordinance 04-2025, amending County Code, Chapter 6.05, Noise Control. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, and Caleb Hugel, Assistant County Counsel, will present. If I may, Mr. Brower also testified and asked several questions. I'm going to ask Dan or Caleb to answer them, but I'm going to answer the first one. Why read by title only? Because if you don't, then Andrew here has to read the entire county code amendment, the entirety of it, every word, 25 pages.
Oh.
So it's common in legislative bodies who ask to read by title only. But with that, Dan and Caleb, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you so much, Chair Roberts, Commissioners. We are here today to talk about a second reading for revisions to the noise ordinance. You're very familiar with this. We've talked to you a couple times. Most recently here in October, and then the first reading was in November. I just, for the public's good, want to run through a couple of brief summary of the adjustments that are in your staff report, and then get to Mr. Brower's question that was raised regarding confidentiality. First, the amendments before you today. Whenever we look at amendments to code, we look at verbiage that's in the code. There's housekeeping amendments. There are a number of those in here about verbiage and things of that nature. Second, there is a focus and a desire to revise what program within the county process noise variance requests. Historically, that's been done by the sheriff's office. The Board of County Commissioners had concerns and felt our code enforcement program that had a clearer tie to permitting and other works and other public works throughout DTD would be more appropriate for that. They do a lot of work with the community. So we've already implemented that change. It does not take away the sheriff's responsibility as they are the enforcement entity for noise complaints that may arise. I want to make sure we're clear about that. It talks about the variance process. We are correcting and adjusting that, and we also adjust the timeline associated with it if we were to deny a request, what that variance process may be. It also clarifies language around approval criteria, and mostly around public benefit and what public benefit may fall into. Then last but not least, it gets to one of the concerns the board raised, which was a desire to ensure there was some notification of adjacent property owners. So the board has requested staff to actively develop an affidavit that would come forward that they have to sign, any applicant would have to sign to affirm the fact they have notified all adjacent property owners of any proposed variance request. There was public testimony earlier today. It was great to hear. It's great to hear people are actually reading the materials and have questions about the materials. I want to be clear, code enforcement, there's almost a crossing of streams because we were talking about the noise ordinance and there was a concern about this confidentiality or anonymous code enforcement requests. Just speaking operationally, our code enforcement program, when they get, I want to make sure an alleged violation, we never affirm it's a violation until we go out there and talk to the individual and look at it. We do not take anonymous. The Board of County Commissioners previous has been very clear about that. But they have established criteria for us to take confidential. And that is around like the number of complainants there may be and the necessity for confidentiality in certain circumstances. The board's adopted criteria around that. We can share that with you if you like, but I just want to affirm to the board, we do not take anonymous complaints. That question was raised earlier, obviously. So with that, there's a recommendation. Gary eloquently talked about the title only, which was the next issue I was going to discuss, but essentially our recommendation is for the board to hold this public hearing and read the attached ordinance by title only and adopt the attached ordinance. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Go ahead.
When we last discussed this, I had made the request, and I'm trying to get clarity at what's included in the affidavit, so appreciate the addition of doing that, but my specific request was, again, just coming from one commissioner, that included in that is an actual copy of the notice provided to the local adjacent owners or property owners, right? As opposed to saying, we did it, right?
Yeah.
And it was verbal.
Yeah.
I have experiences in where, they filled the form out, they claimed all these things, but they never talked to anyone. So is there any details as to what's going to be included? Because I might be okay today voting to carry this because there's only 3 of us here today. But I may, if I don't have that security, come the second reading, I may not support this. I just want to put that on the table right now.
We heard you, and our code enforcement program has heard that as well, and we're looking to standardize the affidavit and the information provided to the adjacent property owners to ensure it keeps, a couple of components associated with that. One is, what is the work that's looking to be proposed and or noise generating that's looking to be proposed, who the contact is during the event. So there's that level of specificity that we've heard from the board during these many discussions that we're looking to ensure that's in that affidavit. The affidavit is under development. In fact, I talked to our code enforcement supervisor this morning. He is forwarding that around, but he was clear to point out to me to ensure it included at least those elements as a whole. If there's additional information, I appreciate the fact that there's one thing to say, I talked to everybody. There's a different thing to say, you shared this with everybody, and here is what the information is. And that's the intent and the desire, is to ensure they're sharing a base level of information that we would find appropriate to inform adjoining property owners.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I always say not only that, but also some kind of acknowledgement of what the form of delivery was of that message. So,
Yeah, well, it should at a minimum be, we can talk more about that, about the specificity around some of that, but there needs to be some sort of a physical delivery of that material to those adjoining property owners, and that's what we're trying to ensure gets completed.
yeah, thank you.
Right, if there aren't any other questions, I'll open for a public hearing. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're attending this meeting in person today and wish to comment on this specific matter only, this is your opportunity to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box by my table. Mr. Chair, seeing no members of the public physically present who wish to comment on this item, with your assent, I'll move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific item only, I'll now ask you to please raise your hand. Mr. Brower, I see your hand. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, I just wanted to chime in and thank you for the clarification points. I mean, this is a topic I happen to be there. I've added comment to. As I said, thank you for being there, and I don't know if I started already, but thank you for the responses. I saw the timer just start. It's not a topic I know very well. I just see it, and I'm concerned about too much bureaucracy in any situation, yet the meaningful goals are pretty clear, with the one comment that there's part of that noise ordinance talks about a really low number for daytime, even though the enforcement part of it is all focused on nighttime, which we can all reasonably agree on. And also, I appreciate the clarification on anonymous and confidential. There's a lot of different counties and different areas where code things, and particularly in our society, when I talk about the community of people just going after each other rather than putting their name up front or together with some other neighbors. So it's good that it's not anonymous, but that doesn't mean it's validated. And still, I think the person who's being accused should know who their accuser is. And so, this point of confidentiality, that's where I'm saying if it's significant enough, if one person's not happy, they can talk to their neighbor and, raise the topic. If I know if I'm the one being accused of something and I know who the accuser is, that doesn't mean I get to go pound on their door or, harass them or anything, or something. So, there's some protection that should be in place, but at the same time, it shouldn't, I would say, it's good it's not anonymous, but if I can't know who the accuser is and there's not validation of the accusing process, and maybe this process is better than other code areas, and I don't have much experience here, certainly not in this county, but that's my concern. So, but I really do appreciate the clarifications, and clearly everyone's listening, so thank you.
Thank you. This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting virtually and have not yet spoken and wish to comment on this specific matter only, to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, who wish to comment on this specific matter today.
Thank you. I'll now close the public portion and turn to my colleagues. Do you have any discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Chair, I was in error. This is the second reading. So with that said, I need to hear from maybe our attorney, Mr. Hugel, whether or not the notice a copy of the notice will be submitted along with that, and knowing what the form of delivery is. I'm a little bit concerned for some folks that if the form of delivery is email, that's not necessarily any guarantee that anyone gets it. So I have concerns around that. What assurances can you give me here today?
Commissioner Savas, I might kick it to Dan. The code just says that they have to submit an affidavit on a form provided by the county. Ultimately, DTD staff will determine what goes on that form, what the affiant has to declare they've done. The code does not answer that question.
I have affirmed to you the fact is the intent to have some hand-delivered material. The intent is to hopefully facilitate a conversation. The intent is to facilitate a knowledge base to those receiving the notification about what is going to occur, and if there is an issue with the occurrence, they know who to contact. Those are the concerns that we heard from the board, to make sure people know fundamentally what is going on, when is it going on, and who do I contact if something arises or some issue arises. If there's additional items, we can have a discussion around that, around the specifics in the affidavit, that's fine. Or the notification, pardon me.
Okay, Commissioner Helm.
So when there is a variance for land use, we oftentimes get a letter in the mail saying this is your neighbor, this is what's happening. Would that suffice if it was something like that that was mailed from the county? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, but what I guess I'm a little bit, I don't want to say form of delivery was I knocked on their door, no one was home. Or form of delivery was I sent an email, right? Or I think those are two that are woefully insufficient, and there's no guaranteed delivery. So whether it's USPS, US Postal Service mail, or something that, again, they're going to sign an affidavit to, I get that. But I want to make sure that the requirements in the affidavit are crystal clear.
So, just two thoughts on that. One, we visited the notification. The dialogue around that is there's a cost to that.
Right.
And because we have got to produce that, we have got to send that notice out. That is a cost associated with it. And there was a desire to look at alternatives to that. And that's where the affidavit came from. I see this kind of similar. I mean, again, we can talk more about the specifics around it, but I see it similar to some of the notification that our surveyors have to provide. So when our surveyors go out and look at land, and we're doing road projects, things of that nature, there are statutory requirements that they provide a door hanger or notice to that individual saying what activity is going to happen when. And I see it very similar to that. Not even sure if it, in my mind, it's even like that next step beyond like the postal service and sending notice, sending a letter to them. But that's kind of the level of engagement we're kind of looking for when these events take place. So,
Yeah, as far as the cost, it would seem to me that it'd be incumbent upon the applicant.
it would.
Right.
We set a fee for it, and we get all that fee associated with it.
I mean, I'm talking about the mailing specific, that
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a burden on the county to send the notice. The burden should be on the, could be a proof of mailing. I don't know what it is. To me, that shouldn't be borne by the county. It should be borne by the applicant, the cost.
We can have a discussion around that if that's the intent, is if we feel mailing is sufficient.
Okay. Well, I'll support it today. It sounds to me like the affidavit will be coming back for discussion, perhaps. Unless we have a private conversation, the development of the affidavit to come forth as, whether that's individually as a commissioner or collectively with the board.
And if you have concerns, we can come back and have a discussion around it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
All right. With that being said, is there a motion?
Chair, I move we read the ordinance by title only.
And is there a second?
I'll second that based on our conversation.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So Commissioner Helm has moved to read the ordinance by title only. Commissioner Savas has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us?
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for the conversation. Thank you, Deanne. What's next, Gary?
If there's another motion, please, about more on page 4 to this.
So,
Motion to.
so
approve the
as
actual
far
order.
as amendments to it then?
No,
Is-
no.
No,
You just
'cause
agreed
I-
to read by title only, right? Did you read by title only?
Yeah, I read that.
We have passed to read by title only. Now is the customary time after reading by title only that the chair would ask if any commissioner would like to offer an amendment.
Okay. So it sounds like we need to give my colleagues a chance for any amendment. So I turn to my colleagues once again. Do you wish to offer any amendments? Seeing none, may I have another motion on ordinance 042025?
I move we approve ordinance 04-2025.
Second.
Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the ordinance 04-2025. Commissioner Savas has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, I'm back to Gary.
Very good. Thank you, Dan and Caleb. The second public hearing is second reading of ordinance 05-2025, amending County Code Chapter 2.16, Budget Development. No county general funds are involved. I will present this. This is the second reading. This is the deal, the done deal, the final deal. This is it, if you approve. This is following up on the May 2025 Budget Committee meetings of the county, where the Budget Committee made several motions regarding budget development that included such items as requiring a 30-year financial forecast, that forecast was reviewed annually by an external vendor to make sure the assumptions were correct, that any changes to the general fund that are not appropriated come back to the board before any action is taken, and other minor housekeeping items. I proposed to you, and you agreed, to put all of these into the county code because these are significant enough and that we want to demonstrate total transparency to the public and hold staff and the board accountable to the public on how you spend the public's dollars, that we would put all these items in the county code. The code itself is compiling all other county budget development policies as well, so we put it all in a single place. And a very high-level overview of what they are as follows, and this is in the staff report if you'd like to follow along. It includes what I just said. It requires a 30-year financial forecast that is reviewed annually by an external party to test the assumptions in that forecast. It requires that any changes to the general fund that has not been appropriated must come to the board immediately for your review before any action is taken, that the county will follow all Oregon law regarding supplemental budgets, and that we do that appropriately and correctly, that the budgets that are proposed to you by the budget officer, who is me, will be balanced, structurally sound, and sustainable, and that I'm required to make sure all those three things are in place before I propose to you a budget, as well as that the 30-year forecast must have a positive ending fund balance on year 30 for any proposed budget that I give to you, and that you as a budget committee must make sure those are in place as well before you adopt those budgets. Finally, that we will follow the county contingency and reserves policy, which is 5% of county general fund will be held in contingency, and 10% of county general fund will be held in reserves. All of that is codified in this proposed code amendment. So today, I'm recommending your approval of this today, the second reading, the final reading. This will make it so if you decide to do so. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Colleagues, all right. I'll now open public hearing on this matter. Clerk, would you please moderate that for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're attending this meeting in person and wish to comment on this code change, this is your opportunity to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box by the door. Mr. Chair, I see no members of the public physically present wish to comment on this specific item. So with your approval, I'll now turn to those who are attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific matter only, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public physically present or virtually who wish to comment on this specific matter today.
All right, thank you. I'll now close the public hearing portion and turn to my colleagues for any further discussion or comments.
Chair, I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Savas has moved to read the ordinance by title only. Commissioner Helm has seconded. Any further discussion? I'd just only like to make a comment, and this is where Paul and I, we respectfully agree, and sometimes we respectfully disagree. And this is one that I know the board is really focused on, and I'm kind of looking at you as some of the financial experience you have, and that's the only concern I have, and I've expressed it, is trying to do a 30-year forecast. And I get the 5-year forecast, and as someone to kind of give you maybe one more chance to kind of explain that, why you think it's the 5-year would be the same as the 30. You've talked about this before, but I'd just like to kind of hear you one more time talk about that.
Yeah, so actually, I think my comment was that if if Chair Roberts wanted a firm, crystal clear 5-year forecast, then you could look at the first 5 years and extrapolate accurately what the 5-year forecast is, right? For those who want to look at a 1-year forecast, they're going to look at as accurate a 1-year forecast, ideally. So any number of years or short or brief or long-term forecasts that you want will be contained in there. It's just a matter of which piece do you want to look at. I look at all of them, of course, right? So I'm going to look at all those years. Knowing that in our discussion with the Budget Committee, for example, and subsequent discussions, that let's say that we were to make a new $100,000 annual commitment ongoing, right? We know in those conversations that would put us in the red, probably won't put us in the red necessarily in year 30. It'll be sooner than that. So it gives us the fiscal discipline and accuracy to make sure that we are preparing future boards and the residents and sustainability to make sure that we can fund it. If we close our eyes to that and we know we're going to be in the red and we don't have a way to bail the county out, then we are setting ourselves up, future boards, for failure. So I think this is something that future boards can look back on and say, this was responsible. They didn't inherit a huge financial burden, whether that could be, because literally, I think that with all the things that we want to see happen and build, I think we can definitely be in the red in just a couple, 3 years if we wanted to. So that I think this holds us all accountable and responsible, including the Budget Committee members, including the staff, including the public, that we can dream all we want, but at the same token is we got to find a way to fund what it is we want to do, knowing that we have a very limited, tight budget. I don't know what you're hearing. I can tell you that several times a week I am talking to people from other jurisdictions that are really struggling worse than we are, and I think we have really held the line on this, and we've been using this 30-year forecast because of the 30-year payments we have for the courthouse. And they're substantial payments, right? And there's some unknowns in there that could actually make that payment go up. So we will constantly be monitoring that. But that's my justification as a responsible member of this board. If that helps, Chair.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think that particularly in the courthouse, trying to figure that out for, how are we going to do this and manage our overall general funds. I think that some of the concern that kind of I've heard, and maybe you can elaborate on that, is just that staff has had concern about trying to get that accurate 30-year forecast, and that's kind of the feedback that I've heard. And so I know they want to do their best, and so I guess that's the part I struggle with is if we're asking them to do something, are they able to do it and to do it to the best ability? So maybe.
Yeah, well,
so I wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk.
Yeah, well,
about that.
actually, I think those words you just used to the best of their ability, right? I mean, every year we'll be revisiting it. We'll look at the assumptions and we'll try to make sure we can get a firm or someone to say, or financial advisors to say, did you look at this? Did you look at that? We can just check the box of what all those assumptions that we have and just make sure we're looking at them. We wouldn't want to miss something like, it's not the right example, but it's an example. Let's say you have a balloon payment coming up, right? And we've had those in the past. Well, is that baked in? Well, we want to make sure it's baked in. We have a payment coming up for something. Do we have the funds to pay for that? So as long as we make sure all those assumptions are there, and it's going to be quite dynamic, right? The PERS liability is going to change over time. Inflation is going to change over time. We want to make sure we're looking at the right numbers, and we're not using a false inflationary number to make the forecast look good. We're using as accurate a number as we can to the best of staff's ability, to your exact terms.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I think just the challenge, and I see, and me, I love this conversation. I'm trying to understand your view on this, and I know we have to get going, so I'm going to try and make this quick. But it's just like these wonderful ladies that came today to talk about the need for food services and Father's Heart and some of these things, the Clackamas Service Center. And I feel like we are struggling just in the next 5 years, right? And we're working really hard to kind of figure out how to kind of meet these demands that, to me, are kind of popping up left and right. And it's, and we as a board are gonna have to make some really hard decisions, I think, sooner than later. And so I'm always open to look further down the road. I just see that as a challenge, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, not that I think it's prudent to look further out to try and anticipate those things and potential revenue and those kinds of things, but I think we've kind of discussed it in depth, so thank you. And unless you have any other comments.
Well, you brought up something that we included in here, which I didn't think of, and I want to thank you for that. You thought that we ought to have the contingency and financial reserves included in this ordinance, and we've added that, so that was a great idea, so thank you for that. I gotta give you credit for that. I grew up poor. I know my colleague, Commissioner Helm, grew up poor. My mom lost her home because my mom was trying to deal with the now and really didn't pack a few pennies away, so to speak, for the future, and ultimately lost our home. So I know that there's a lot of pressures on there. So I would say that, maybe when we are senior citizens in need, if that time ever comes, or neighbors, or that 5 years from now or 10 years from now, at least we're providing the bare essential services. If we give it away now, that's going to be at the detriment of future populations, right? Future residents of our county. So it's that long-term planning vision alongside the short-term financial forecast as well.
Thanks, Carson. All right, I think we're at a point. Clerk, would you call the poll?
Just a reminder, Mr. Chair, this is the motion to read the ordinance by title only. Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair. The amendment's title, which I will read for you, is a second reading of Ordinance 05-2025, amending County Code Chapter 2.16, Budget Development.
So now, I turn to my commissioners. Do you wish to make any amendments?
No, Chair, I move we approve Ordinance 05-2025.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Savas has moved to approve ordinance 05-2025. Commissioner Helm has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the poll again.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
And Gary, what is next for us?
Thank you, Commissioners. Next is the consent agenda. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. Item A, elected officials. 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. 2, approval of a grant agreement with the Oregon Department of Justice for Child Abuse Multidisciplinary Intervention Services. Grant value is $1,343,499 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Department of Justice. No county general funds are involved. B, disaster management. 1, approval of an amendment to a subrecipient grant agreement with the City of Portland for additional air support thermal camera features on the Sheriff's Office's airplane. Amendment value is $19,955 for 1 month. Total agreement value is $373,787 for 2 years. Funding is through the City of Portland. No county general funds are involved. C, juvenile. 1, approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Youth Authority to lower liability insurance. Agreement value is $82,094 for 2 years. Funding is through the Oregon Youth Authority. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of a personal services contract with Parrot Creek Child and Family Services for short-term behavioral stabilization youth residential placements. Agreement value is $4,242,942.50 for 5 years. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Human Services, the Oregon Health Authority, and $1,570,000 of budgeted county general funds. D, tourism. 1, approval of a professional services contract with Clackamas Heritage Partners for in-person visitor information services at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. Contract value is $157,930 for 2 years. Funding is through state transient lodging tax. No county general funds are involved. E, health, housing, human services. 1, approval to apply for a direct award grant from the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs for veteran outreach and job training services. Grant value is $250,000 for 18 months. Funding is with the Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs, Oregon Housing and Community Services, and $264,986 of budgeted county general funds. 2. Approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental grant agreement with the Oregon Department of Human Services for additional Older Americans Act and Oregon Project Independence programs. Amendment value is $7,775,773.37 for 2 years. Total agreement value is $17,628,060.37 for 4 years. Funding to the Oregon Department of Human Services. No county general funds are involved. 3. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Human Services to fund Aging and Disability Resource Connection Services. Agreement value is $285,387 for 6 years. Funding to the Oregon Department of Human Services. No county general funds are involved. 4. Approval of an amendment to a revenue intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority for the financing of public health services such as drinking water monitoring. Amendment value is $550,991.25 for 1 year. Total agreement value is $6,413,651.22 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 5. Approval of a federal subrecipient grant agreement with LifeWorks Northwest for assessment and support services to youth experiencing psychotic disorders. Agreement value is $402,379.98 for 1 year. Funding is the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 6. Approval of revenue grant agreement with Oregon Housing and Community Services for affordable housing redevelopment project funding. Total agreement value is $227,785.38 for 3 years. Funding is through Oregon Housing and Community Services. No county general funds are involved. 7. Approval of the Public Health Modernization Plan for submission to the Oregon Health Authority. Plan implementation funding is through federal, state, and other grants, as well as $2,791,836 of budgeted county general funds. F. Transportation Development. 1. Approval of a resolution declaring the public necessity and purpose for the acquisition of rights-of-way, easements, and fee property, and authorizing good faith negotiations and, if necessary, condemnation proceedings for the Amsiger Road Roundabout project. Project value is $5,675,465. Funding is through the Community Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. 2. Approval of financial assistance application to receive state funds from Circular Action Alliance for recycling education and outreach. Assistance value is $1,279,701 for 1 year. Funding is through Senate Bill 582. No county general funds are involved. 3. Approval of sale documents for 15 properties sold at the September 16, 2025 surplus property auction. Total sale value is $194,677. Funding is through auction proceeds. No county general funds are involved. 4. Approval of sale documents for a property parcel located near Salmon to Charles Kimberly. Sale value is $1,295. Funding is through purchasers. No county general funds are involved. 5. Approval of a resolution declaring the public necessity and purpose for the acquisition of rights-of-way, easements, and fee property, and authorizing good faith negotiations and, if necessary, condemnation proceedings for the Oatfield Road Jennings Avenue Signal Rebuild Project. Project value is $2,961,079. Funding is through the Community Road Fund and Transportation System Development Charges. No county general funds are involved. 6. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Canby for the Walnut Street Extension Project. Agreement has no fiscal impact and ends once transfer to the city is complete. No county general funds are involved. 7. Approval of a contract amendment with Eagle Elsner for the Wildcat Road paving project. Amendment value is $83,323 and no time increase. Total contract value is $1,556,603 for 2 years. Funding is through American Rescue Plan Act funds and the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. 8. Approval of a board order to purchase 2 Freightliner dump trucks. Order value is $257,715.19. Funding is through the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any colleagues wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Helms moved to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Savitt is second. Further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savis.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. Gary?
Next is the consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. Item A, approval of a board order to purchase a Freightliner tanker truck. Order value is $213,878. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Funds. No county general funds are involved. B, approval of a board order delegating authority to the Water Environment Services Director, Assistant Director, Technical Division Manager, and Capital Division Manager to submit permit reports and certifications required by federal and state permits via the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality online portal. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved. C, approval of a contract with DeWitt Construction for South Welch's, Golf Club Terrace, 82nd Avenue, and Sebin Lane Pump Station rehabilitation and upgrades. Contract value is $3,408,253 for 2 years. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Funds. No county general funds are involved. D, approval of a contract amendment with Braun Construction and Design for the Upper Kellogg Improvements Project. Amendment value is $439,225.99 and no time increase. Total contract value is $2,117,555.99 for 1 year. Funding is through Water Environment Services Surface Water Construction Funds. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the Water Environment Services Board of Directors consent agenda.
Thank you. Anybody want to remove anything from that consent agenda? As I look. All right, I'm asking one of my colleagues to make a motion.
I move we approve the West consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Thank you both. Director Savas has moved to approve the consent agenda. Director Helm has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would you please call the poll, clerk?
Director Helm.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, everybody. I will now adjourn as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Gary?
Next is County Administrator update. I'd like to recognize our incredible county employees during my time, and today I want to recognize Paul Runyon, a Transportation Maintenance Supervisor in our Department of Transportation and Development. He recently received this very gracious note from a member of the public who wrote, "I just had a conversation with Paul. He was driving down my street in anticipation for some road work that the county will be doing. So I stopped him and asked about the project. I was so pleased with how he handled my question about the drainage on Laurie Avenue. He and his coworker were very concerned and understanding. Paul responded by immediately picking up the phone to talk to the Portland and Western Railroad about the problem. He got an instant response by a concerned railroad operator, and he has already set up a meeting to help resolve the issue. Boy, that sure made my day. I am so happy and impressed by what he did. Thank you to Paul." Thank you, Paul, for the incredible service, and that's just an example of what our employees do every day to support the public. So I want to thank Paul and our road crews from Transportation and Development, our Transportation Maintenance team, and all that they do. That is my update for today. Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Gary. And now it's Commissioner Communication, and Commissioner Savas is senior not by age, but time on the board. So I wanted to make sure I'll let you go first today for your time and service.
Yeah, well, great, thank you, Chair. Just building on the employee recognition that Gary just gave with Mr. Runyon, Paul Runyon, kudos to him. I was thinking while you were saying that, sometimes it'd be nice maybe to have a picture of that individual if they like, so that people on the screen can see who that individual being recognized is. But that was just a thought. And I was also reflecting on yesterday at the employee luncheon, something here that the county does that I really enjoy, and that is the anniversary recognitions for their 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. I mean, it's not a lot of 35s or 30s out there, but yesterday we had a couple 30s. So I want to thank individually some of those members that are not members, but staff here have done outstanding work for all these years, and let you know that just reflecting on where we were a year ago and some of the difficulties we had, just hoping again that you know that this Board of County Commissioners is 100% in support of our staff and the great work that they do. And it was difficult communications last year that apparently we saw coming, which unfortunately were realized more at the very first of this year. But I just want to say again, thanks, and to all the hard work. It's always amazing how many people have put in so many years. You just don't, it's just great. But I really appreciate the recognition. On Tuesday, we just broached a topic about parking, and I was in Commissioner Helm's office yesterday, I believe, just sharing, oh my God, we had so little time. We were at the end of the day. It was 5 o'clock. We had a long, long day on Tuesday. But I was just reflecting on some of the challenges that I've had dealing with responding to constituents out in their neighborhoods where they live with the parking challenges. And Commissioner Helm was sharing some experiences she had with a friend of hers who I guess some of the neighbors have to move their cars in the middle of the night to just deal with the parking situation. I remember standing in people's driveways with the neighbors all upset because all these cars are being parked and there's not enough parking in this new housing facility that's been built. And I know, Chair Roberts, shared towards the end, I do recognize that, by not providing parking, that's a reduction in the cost of that housing. But along with that came a principle and promises, assurances that we would have transit, right, which is not materializing. Promises that we would have charging stations and electrification for those who needed it. That promise is not delivered on and obviously in jeopardy at this point in time. But I think there were a lot of assumptions, but when we build the housing and those assumptions don't become to realize, and we have a lot of stresses. And I remember showing up on a Saturday morning at a neighborhood where people were, and I was invited. People didn't know who I was, but I was invited by one of the residents, and by gosh, it was like perfect timing. Neighbors were arguing. I walk up, and someone comes up to me and says, "Is that your truck that you just parked out there?" I go, "No, that's not my truck." But here it is Saturday morning, which should be a peaceful Saturday morning in a community, and the neighbors are all up in arms because one neighbor can't get out, one neighbor can't park, and so it's just created a lot of havoc in communities. But it was kind of funny because that evening I was watching the news and I was hearing the report that there are 1,900 vacant affordable housing units in, I guess, just Multnomah County. That doesn't include Clackamas. And sometimes it's about what we build and whether or not we're building for a market or whether or not we are artificially building for a market or anticipation of. And I always have faith in the market because, no one's going to build something that they don't think that they're going to get or be able to sell, ideally. I mean, certainly that does happen and they fail. But, I just think about what's important to Clackamas County residents, and certainly some of those folks don't have the resources to have or choose where they would really like to live or be able to afford where they really want to live. But all that said is that people do move here or wherever they live, anywhere in the country, but especially here in Clackamas, they want to live here for a certain type of life or quality of life. And whether it's a peaceful enjoyment of their property or it's being adjacent to a medical facility because they're up in the years or near shopping because they want to walk or whatnot. But, we all find our places. And so as the market for housing develops, it's not just one type of housing, it's several different types of housing, and want to make sure we meet those demands. Along with that, I think the other realization this week is that, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, but we have approximately, for every person we place in housing, in permanent housing, 2 new people come in. So it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And a lot of news articles coming out about, performance on supportive housing services or performance on dealing with the housing crisis. And there's a lot of numbers out over there, and whether they're done in percentages or they're done in actual physical counts, I always say when you're looking at numbers, sometimes the tricky part is percentages. I want to see both. To get a more accurate picture of what we're dealing with and make sure that we're achieving the outcomes we can, but we simply don't have the resources to build everything we can or to serve all the people we can. So we do the best with what we have. And I guess that's the more humbling part of this job, is trying to make sure we meet the demands. And Chair, earlier when we were talking about the folks here and the needs and the budget, and we approved this budget policy, I will tell you, for my very first day here in a county meeting after being elected in 2010, just before being sworn in, I was invited to a county meeting, and those list of demands, or not demands, but needs and requests it was like, oh my gosh. And it hasn't really stopped. Certainly it's gotten I could say more intense, and the needs grown, but there's always those things that are always, we're always being approached, especially during budget season. We get a lot of ask, can we do this? Can we do that? We need funding for this. And it's tough. It's hard to say no. You try to find a way. And I just want to, again, just try to close with this, and that is that the most rewarding thing I think about my 15 years here is seeing how much support there is, philanthropy, people out there that are pitching in, faith-based organizations that are contributing, and there's people out there right now for no remuneration, out there just helping, delivering food or preparing food for people in need, or providing some shelter or whatnot. So our great volunteers, our great community that are trying to help others unselfishly. So that's what comes to mind today. So Chair, with that, I yield back.
Thanks. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. So just an update on what we've been doing, because we were all at the Columbia Pacific Building Trades Council holiday event on Tuesday, UA 290. It was a great time to meet some people and some old friends that I haven't seen for many, many years. Boy, their raffle was pretty spectacular. So sorry I didn't take part in that, but it was very good. Last night I attended the Oak Grove Community Council meeting. Very interesting, very engaged group of people, and a lot of the topics that came up today were brought up last night. A lot of concern about the ice roundups. When is Clackamas County going to make a statement about it? I tried to explain the same thing we did today, that we're walking a tightrope with that. Parking came up, imagine that. Road safety came up near the new Concord Center and the library. 2 or 3 people were either in the room or online who had almost been hit by cars that were literally brushed them because a crosswalk there is being ignored. So anyway, we're gonna see these people very shortly before us. So that's something that needs to get dealt with. It was just my time to introduce myself, let them ask questions, which they had many, many questions, some of which I can answer, some of which I can't. But I will say my big takeaway from the evening was a comment that was made by someone who's new to that council, that one thing she's noticed about this commission is that we all care. And she said that comes through loud and clear. So that was a huge compliment to us. And I told her I do believe we do all care, and that we all bring a different perspective to the table, and that we get along well, and that I think that we cooperate with each other. And I think that's huge that people recognize that. Today we're headed out to the Souder Timber West grand opening in Estacada, the CLT, Crossland Laminated Timber Factory, for the grand opening. We had a tour a couple months ago, but it's grand opening today. So I'm excited to go see that. And that's all for now. Back to you.
Great.
Chair, can I just say one
Yeah,
thing real
sure.
quick? I just want to more to get Gary's attention to this. So a few weeks ago, I too heard that concern about the crosswalk on Concord Avenue in front of the Concord facility, which used to be the old school crossing. And back in the day when the school crossing was there, they had crossing guards, school buses with flashing lights. So it got a lot of attention. People slowed down naturally. That's not, the school bus and the crossing guards are no longer there. Crosswalk is still there. It's needed. I brought this to DTD's attention. I sent them an email. So Mike Besner's aware of this, but I'm not sure that they're aware that the frequency of the concerns and the complaints. So I don't want to have our staff caught off guard, but maybe we can just bring this up to either staff and the board in the future. I wouldn't want to have anyone hurt in the crosswalk, and so I too have heard that.
We're on it. We'll report back to you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Right, thank you. Really to follow up on Commissioner Helm, and this is really a credit to her that I did a visit at Father's Heart, and I know you've been involved in it for some time, and that it was an eye-opener. And I think it's always good to get out and to see firsthand how things are working. I mean, they're in an incredibly, I'm going to take the county council down there, so I have you come with me to see it, because they do so much in such a tight area, and they work very closely with the neighborhood. And probably what impressed me the most is I did notice a substantial amount of seniors that were there, right? That were using the facility. But I also saw a tremendous amount of senior volunteers. And a gentleman, I would like to have the board recognize him as a guy by the name of Larry that has been volunteer there for years. He's over 80 years old. He runs the laundry machine down there and makes sure that everything's get washed, and it just not him, but so many others commit so much. So it's very exciting to see kind of the future of what's next. Just want to say thank you for all your work and that effort. So I was at a meeting yesterday, the Willamette Falls Locks Authority, just really kind of getting an update on that. And it sounds like things are moving ahead as with the funds that they've already received. So more to come on that. I wanted to tell my fellow colleagues I'm going to change things on the employee recognition. So this is like kind of bad on me, but we had some names that were very difficult to say. So I figured as a team, I'm going to rotate at the next employee
great.
luncheon. So I'm going to have one for you and one for you to say. So so my apologies to the employees. I did butcher some names, and this is to also kind of fall on my sword too. So I was reading these without my glasses, and one of the names was I didn't have my glasses on, and I read it as Ed, but it was Edie.
Yes, Edie.
So I did put my glasses on, so I apologize to her as well today. So with that being said, the other quick thing I just wanted to talk about too is the importance of AOC, and a lot of us were down at AOC just right prior to Thanksgiving, and one of the things that I just can't emphasize the importance of it, to see what other counties are doing, where they're trying new things, innovative. I know county council and all the councils in the state get together. We look at litigation, other issues, and I think the most important thing is we all don't want to repeat mistakes that have been made elsewhere, and so we learn from each other tremendously. One of the things I did learn when I was there, which I had talked to Gary about, I had dragged Gary over there to meet one of the vendors, and the reason I felt it was so important, it was on disaster preparedness. And one of the things is really not having to put money up front, just more or less a commitment that in the event of a disaster, we'll have all this stuff stored and ready for you, and at a drop of a phone call can have it. And so Gary kept asking, all right, what's the catch?
And the cost.
Yeah. So I think, I'm a big fan of disaster preparedness, and I unfortunately went through 2020 with trying to get PP&Es and some of those things, and so I just believe wholeheartedly in really trying to prepare. And as they kind of said, the other counties that are preparing, it's kind of a getting on a list of receiving those in the event of emergency. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is. And while we were gone away from here, I just want you to know we're working hard on kind of learning what's happening. So with that, that's all I have to say. I'll turn any other comments. If I'm looking around for my yes, go ahead.
Just to follow up on what Patricia Torson brought to our attention, and it's not new, obviously. I think there's some strategy that we could do that involves outreach to the media who cover health issues in particular, to bring broader attention to what's it's not just here in this county, it's everywhere, and having read about it, but the fact that she's so active at 80, trying to help out fellow senior citizens is pretty impressive, but just the needs there are, I just see that growing and growing and growing as all of us thankfully find ways to live longer. And I'm just bringing that up because I have some ideas on it and who to reach out to, and with your permission, I'd like to do that. But before I do that, I want to have conversations about the topic to make sure you're in agreement to do that. There are media outlets that focus on health and senior issues, and I think we should do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and just real quickly, I have 3 individuals that are kind of in the senior healthcare field, and you know, in my conversation with them, that basically that we are not ready for the entourage of seniors that are going to need the services, and so I think it is really starting now to kind of figure out what are those things. One of the programs, and maybe Gary, could you talk about this? I had no idea about it, but it has to do with teaming up seniors with seniors in housing. It was a roommate buddy program or something like that. Could you talk about that, Gary?
We have a whole seniors division in Health, Housing, Human Services that does all this work. So if anything, we can do better in engaging the community on what we actually do already. So we do all these things. As far as the funding, that's up to you in a tightly constrained budget time. But yes, that particular program, I'll have to get you more information.
Okay.
But it's all on our website. We have it.
Now, I want to build on that same point. I mean, I think on some of these topics, understanding what's in place and the
Right.
infrastructure that's in place, whether it's here at the county or whether it's unattached to the county, if you will, the private sector, when you see all that infrastructure collectively, number one, you'll be impressed, but I also agree it's not enough often. So the need is going to grow, but what can we do to do it as efficiently as possible? So seeing some of that infrastructure, both internal and external, would inspire maybe some great ideas and hopefully some funding resources. But the system in place is impressive. But I think what's happening, you heard that today, and I've heard it, we've all heard it before, the need is growing, and it's not, the demand is greater than the resources available. So how do we take that as existing systems, plural, and build on it, I think is the key. But let's learn what we have and figure out how to make it better.
But just to kind of follow up on it, just a comment I have is sometimes, this is what I believe, is sometimes it takes a catalyst of ideas to help bring it forward to involve the public. Because I have seen time and time again where the public has come up in so many ways to help support outside of county funding. And so I believe a lot of times it's trying to connect the two. And I'll just tell you a quick story. There was a senior that was working at Walmart. He was in his 80s, once again, had financial challenges. And it took one individual, actually, that saw him basically dozing. He was tired. And he took it upon himself. He posted kind of a GoFundMe deal and literally raised enough money from citizens to come together to help pay off his mortgage, help him get enough funding. And so I've always been kind of touched by the goodness of so many people that kind of really come together to help. And so I think part of that is, we kind of have a conduit to kind of help get messages out. And it was very clear today, they are struggling. So I just think it'd be a great conversation to bring back here, Gary, and learn what we are currently doing. So I think I've chatted enough. I got to keep this short. So if there's nothing more from the board, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, thank you for joining us today, and this meeting is adjourned. Thanks.